Norm Macdonald was the funniest comedian to ever live, and one of his most underrated vehicles for being hilarious was his YouTube podcast titled Norm Macdonald Live with Holocaust denier and extra chromosome recipient Adam Egett. In a world full of constant slop and bland milquetoast comedy podcasts, there are very, very few shows that are consistently entertaining. Of course, there are a few notable exceptions doing good work today, but not enough to save the sinking ship that is the comedy podcast genre. However, at one point in the early 2010s, before podcasting was completely blown out and totaled as a medium, Norm Macdonald hosted one that was truly special and consistently funny with great guests. Sometimes the guests were great because they were comedy legends like Kevin Nealon or Gilbert Gottfried, but other times they were great because the guests would squirm anytime Norm hit a pressure point like Todd Glass or Margaret Cho. This podcast was a treasure trove of golden moments, and in today's video we'll be taking a look at the very first installment of the podcast featuring comedy legend Super Dave Osborne and how it devolved into a total shitstorm and disaster at the end of the show in a hilarious way for the folks watching at home. Sometimes it's nice to appreciate something good from the past, and today's video is one of those times, so without further ado, let's hop right into it. The podcast starts off with Norm doing a basic intro, and immediately Super Dave points out how boring of an intro it is, getting into his character pretty much right away. The guys make some small talk and a little chitter chatter for several minutes, and then when Super Dave starts talking about Oscar Pistorius, Norm insists that Super Dave, or Adam, explain to the viewers at home who Oscar Pistorius is, and Super Dave gets annoyed and plays right into it.
Welcome to the show. This is a podcast, but it's on the TV also.
Yeah, a little. I mean, I
Don't
did
you
just get
think
a
that
record.
possibly we're boring the shit out of the public right now?
About Adam Egett?
Yeah, just having non sequitur talk.
Tell who Pistorius is.
Well, you know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
the story is.
No, but for the viewers that don't
Who
Pistorius
know.
is
doesn't know?
Well, the viewers
Yeah,
that don't
South
know.
African Jew.
Then when Super Dave brings up several other people throughout the podcast, Norm says it again and again, and this makes for an awesome bit that lingers for the entirety of the show.
And what about that Dormer? This guy who killed the cops?
Yeah, explain to the folks.
I don't want to explain it.
Explain to the folks who he was.
Tall,
He was the African-American
African-American
police
great-looking
officer.
guy.
Explain to the folks.
I don't want to explain anything. If
Okay.
you're going to say that after everything I say, I'm going to leave.
No, I've heard
Because
people
this is
say
a
that. Rafael Nadal. Explain to the folks who Rafael Nadal
Oh my
is.
God. Oh my God.
No, of course, Rafael
Yes,
Nadal.
but
I'll explain. No, to
you
the
usually
folks,
get-
explain
oh,
who
no,
Kim
go
Kardashian
ahead,
is.
never mind.
Because I think the joke was predicated on knowing that she has a big ass. I like that you told the folks what CN Tower was.
Yeah.
Just a lovely bit that keeps on giving and ends up resurfacing in several other episodes of the show in the future. Then at around 9 minutes in, the fellas talk about Norm's astonishing weight gain, which is fucking amazing. Norm does his best impression of big fat Bruce Valanche, and not by changing his voice or mannerisms, just by being a big fat tub of lard the way God intended. Then we get to hear a quick street joke from Super Dave that cracks everybody in the room up.
Two women on a bridge.
Yeah.
One says, you know what, Helen, I've always wanted to pee off this bridge just like men do. She goes over the railings, drops her shorts, sticks her ass over the railing. She says, come here, I'm going to pee right down there in that canoe. Said, it's not a canoe, it's your reflection.
Classic. Then Adam Egett, Super Dave, and some big fat guy talk for several more minutes about Super Dave's show. Super Dave shares some riveting stories from back when he had his own TV show, and if you're a comedy nerd like me, it's really enjoyable to listen to. Then we get Norm throwing Adam Egett under the bus again when he asks Super Dave about his work on Red Fox's variety show for a hilarious moment on the podcast.
Adam Egett told me something I didn't know. He said you worked with Red Fox on a variety.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm dying to
I
hear it.
produced Red Fox Variety.
You told me he just worked on it.
Worked on it.
Well, that's. I mean, according to your
What do you
Wikipedia
think I was,
page.
a stagehand, you douchebag?
Quite frankly, Adam had that coming because he is some fucking douchebag whose face looks like a cunt.
Lose the douchebag.
He's talking about me.
Well, we don't know if he's talking
He's
about
clearly talking about me.
you. He is talking about you. What's the deal with that fucking douchebag?
Then we get to hear Super Dave tell Norm that it's a tragedy
Reminds me of that tragedy.
that Norm is doing this podcast for so few people, and how a man of his talent and comedy aptitude should be on a TV show backed by a network, which I agree with. But we never lived in a just world because Norm never received this opportunity. Following this, we get some questions that Adam Diglett prepared for Super Dave.
Adam had a question he wanted to ask you about your comedy.
Where do you get your ideas from?
laugh. This was easily one of the funniest moments of this podcast up until they started reading jokes. Seeing Super Dave just look right down the barrel of the camera lens and pretend like Adam didn't ask this question was so goddamn funny. The recurring bit of asking the guests where they get their ideas from never fails to be funny. Now Norm and many other comics have been asked this question so many times, it's ridiculous. But I think Norm really started to see the humor in asking this question when a dude asked him on the Tom Green show and proceeded to give him a bit that he thought was funny.
Where do you get your materials, your comic material? Is it through your imagination or real life situations that's happened?
That's an excellent question.
It is. It's a good one. Yeah.
I really think this was when Norm really realized how retarded of a question this was, and how in the future he could torture any guest he had on one of his shows by feeding the question to Adam Eagle and having him ask it every single time no matter who the guest was. It just makes for a goofy ass moment on every show. Love it. Anyway, Super Dave does a great job of gaslighting and pretending to be mad at Adam throughout the show. It really tops off the podcast. Then at the end we get to see the three of them read jokes on the blue cards in a classic Norm Macdonald moment, and the jokes are written by, I don't know, some guy probably. This is easily the best part of the podcast, and if you don't know why, you'll find out soon enough.
This is the section where we do jokes.
Do you understand that we're on the air?
Yeah.
Oh, right. We all know that the Swiss are officially neutral.
Who wrote this?
Unofficial.
Who wrote this?
This,
Who wrote this?
Well, that screwed up my timing.
Who wrote this?
this one says, remember the old days when tweeting meant stabbing a hooker? Super Dave, why is there an app for everything except how to rape a baby?
Jesus.
So Super Dave isn't thrilled about a few of these jokes, but one joke really sets him off.
Some gold-plated chains would make a nice retirement gift for a very, very good slave. Well, this
Are
was,
you serious?
well, this was written.
Are you serious?
This was written years
Did
ago.
you just write that?
I didn't write
Did
it.
you just say that?
It was it was written
Oh
obviously.
my God Almighty! I'm not part of this.
No, it was written
No,
before.
I'm not part of this. No, you can't read that. Who is writing this? You're doing this. This is your life. You're putting your life on it. You dress like horseshit tonight. Can you
the
do me a
history of-
favor? Can you find out what the traffic is like on the Santa Monica? Going to the desert.
Do you know the
please.
Harlem Shake?
And don't call me again.
Super Dave.
I don't care about anything. You don't call me again. There's no last minute fill in. There's nothing. Okay?
Some people might not know what the concentration camps
Oh,
are. So you might need to-
concentration camps were found in Poland.
Oh my God.
Holy shit, this is hilarious. Seeing Super Dave get worked up like this while Norm and Adam laugh is peak podcast humor. Then Super Dave starts asking what traffic looks like because he can't get out of there soon enough. Norm and Adam just keep going further and further, and it just gets better and better until the show ends. Super Dave is really playing up his anger well, but him getting peed really makes this just such a treat to watch. The whole time he's just trashing the format of the show, and you can tell that Norm and Adam are winging it, so the show is an absolute train wreck to watch, but that's part of the reason it's so funny. Similar to Matan Evans' podcast, where there's a lot of chaos, Norm's show had this wave of unpredictability, and having Super Dave make fun of it the whole time made for the perfect first episode of Norm Macdonald Live. It's a shame they eventually stopped this podcast for the Netflix show Norm Macdonald Has a Show, but thankfully these episodes are all archived online for us Norm fans to enjoy at any time we feel like watching them. Just in case you don't know how, if you Google Norm Macdonald Live episodes full archive, you can find and watch all of them for yourself. Hope that helps. Overall, I love this podcast episode, and that's why I wanted to make a video sharing some of my favorite parts. Anyway, have you guys seen this episode of Norm Macdonald Live? Did you like it? If we could have gotten one more guest on Norm Macdonald Live, hypothetically, who would you want it to be? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Check out my second channel if you want to see more content from me. No pressure though if you don't want to. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new here. But that's all I got for you today. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.